everybody, it's Dr. Lori, the PhD Antiques Appraiser. How are you? I want to get started tonight. We're going to see how well you do with my treasure hunt game, but I want to get started tonight with glass. I know you all love glass. I've been talking to a lot of you on video calls. You've been telling me about why you're pricing glass, how you're sourcing glass. What questions would you ask about this particular vase, this glass vase? So a couple of things that I want to show you with the Dr. Lori cam right out of the chute. First of all, I want you to think about weight, and I want you to think about type and pieces or parts of a piece. So this particular piece, I want you to think about, again, form and the weight of these pieces. I got to move this hat. This hat's in the way. So basically what I want you to think about is the way in which this piece would actually have certain details to it that are going to tell you about value. So first thing, when I looked at this piece of glass, I said to myself, oh, okay, well, let's look at where the actual pieces fuse together, where they come together. So when you see this, I'm going to take the loop, right? Take the loop. I want to hear your questions. What do you want to know? What would you ask about this particular piece? But basically what I want to know is if you saw this piece in a thrift store, in a shop, what kind of questions would you ask of it, if you will, right? So a couple of things that I want you to think about. I want you to think, in fact, about how you actually would take a look at this piece. So the first thing I would do, right, I would basically look at this portion, then I'd look at this portion, then I'd look at the base, okay? And these three pieces all come together. So think about the weight of each part, not the weight of the whole piece. Yeah, it looks deco, like it looks, for example, Art Deco, right? It is not made in the Art Deco period in the 1920s, but it's trying to look like the 1920s. Why? These elements here, right? The chevron elements up and down, because that's a very typical geometric form that you're going to see in the Art Deco. And the Art Deco is making a big comeback, of course, right now, right? 2020, 2021, the early part of the 20s, looking back at the 1920s. So if you look at this piece, I want you to think about a couple of things. How heavy it is important. That's right, Sarah. How heavy it is important, but how heavy it is in parts. So this part up here is lightweight, but this part right here is very, very thick, heavy. And it's not heavy like the way crystal feels heavy, okay? It's actually heavy because there's so many elements put together, right? This, what I'll call a step-up piece. So you're looking for cut, pressed, and seams. You're looking for the same type of thing. There's no seams around this piece. So most of the time you'd say to yourself, well, if there's a seam, then it's not valued as high as something without a seam. This does not have a seam. However, I want to show you some of the details of this piece that might help you to identify. I'm not hearing too many questions, so I'll keep going, but I want to answer your questions. You've got to think about what it is. Is the decoration etched? So let's see if you would be able to identify whether or not it's etched. So let's take the Dr. Lori cam and let's take a little look at this area. It's going to take me a minute or so to get to this position that I want. So be patient with me a second. Okay. So basically, when you start to look, I want you to take a look here. Oh, yeah, it's going to be a little bit of time, so just bear with me. There we go. So I want you to see just how clear this is and how it is etched. Now you can actually even see the areas where it looks like there's a line in the middle of each leaf. Let me try a different leaf for you. Doesn't want to do it for me. There we go. There we go. So if you can see the middle, taking the loop and using the loop, do you see the middle? Do you see how there is a line through the middle of each leaf? And do you see how the two leaves do not at the top touch? They're off. Do you see that? This is what the loop's going to actually teach you. You can see that one actual leaf is now actually a little bit taller, not quite overlapping the other. That's one of the problems. The other thing that this loop will teach, you'll be able to see with this, is the way in which not only those don't touch, see how they don't touch right there in the middle, right? They should be right up against each other. One line should hit the other line. And then when you come down to see how good the etching is, do you see how the etching is not consistent? What does that mean? That means that there are areas that are deeper than others. Some are shallow, some are deep. And you can see that with the coloring. Here we go. not that easy to, there it is. So you see how the middle is more of a bright white, but the areas around the middle are not? That should all be the same, all the way up, all the way down. And it's not. Because it's not, that's going to show you, in fact, that's going to show you, in fact, the way in which this piece is not of very high quality. Oh, no, Dr. Lori, I liked that piece. It's good if you like it. It's okay if you like it. It is, in fact, once you scrutinize it with your loupe, you're going to start to identify whether or not you've got a good quality etched piece of glass or a poor quality etched piece of glass. Oh, yes, I see what you mean, Dr. Lori. Thank you. Somebody gets it. I think most of you get it. Yeah, it looks like 3D. It has depth. And this is why my staff is so blanking good, because they're trying to get you these visuals that are so important for you that I can teach you right here so you know what to keep and what not to keep. The other thing about this particular piece, this piece has a couple of bubbles that I really don't like. I'm going to put my glove, my tightly fitting glove right here, and I'm going to show you a couple of things with the Dr. Lori cam without in fact, this piece, this loop. And I want to show you where this bubble is. Let me do this a minute. You find the spot. You see the bottom? Do you see how it's off? It's not concentric in the bottom. Are you noticing that? And the other part I want you to notice is right up here. A little bit hard to get, so bear with me. It's right where my finger is. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's a bubble right there. Do you see the bubble? The bubble at almost close to where, right there, there's the bubble. Almost near, and I'm going to put this camera down, but almost near the tippity top where they've cut the piece. Okay, so all of you guys who are going around going, oh, I thought this was a great piece. Yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing distinction. And I want you to learn this because once you learn this, it's yours. And then you're powerful. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to make you powerful so you're successful. I want you to learn it. I want you to get it. And you will. Hello to Australia. You went to bed watching me and now you're in the car dropping off the children to school. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, educate those kids. Get them to school. So this particular piece right there, the bubble, if you see it up that high near this area, that indicates, again, a quality issue. So first of all, lightweight, right? Well, bubbles are good on some glass, but not good on other glass. So folks who are telling you these generalizations, it's not really the way it works when it comes to identifying correctly glass. People like to see the bubbles if they're controlled. That's harder to do, right? But if you see a stray bubble like this bubble in an area where everything has no bubbles at all, that's a problem. Thank you very much for the super sticker. So I want you to see these issues and understand these problems. If you're looking at this piece, you can start to see some of the areas that are way off. And you're going, gosh, Dr. Lori, that's really picayune. I want you to be picayune because you know what? You will always find the beauty and the quality if you take a good long look. I want you to get the loupe. Why do I want you to get the loupe? A lot of you are like, I can't find the loupe. I can't find the loupe. It's very easy. The loupe is easy to find on the website. If you go to, of course, the Specials and Shop page, there's a picture of it right there. Specials and Shop is at the top of the page. If you're using a smartphone to access, there's a menu. You have to go over to the menu first, that little hamburger menu. Go to the menu and then hit menu, and all of a sudden it will open up. There'll be the nice red Specials and Shop. And that's where, of course, all of this information is. And that's where you can get the loupe. Okay. So that's what we're looking at. But I want you to see these kinds of things. I've often been known to say, I can teach you even from the stuff that isn't great. So what other questions would you ask about this? It looks Art Deco. Okay. We know it's because of the chevrons. We know now that it's etched, but not high quality etching, right? We know also that this piece has actually been cut down, probably was a little bit more flared. So at some point, somebody decided to cut it down, right? We know that it has different elements here. So a very, very thin base, right? And then doing this. So Chris is bidding stuff online while watching me, right? Because, if something like this came on, I'm going to be able to tell you. And, it's interesting about that because when you can have me with you when you do anything, when you go shopping. I'll talk about that in a minute. So basically, I could be online with you bidding, telling you, you know what, I wouldn't bid anymore on that. Or, you know what, that's a fake. You know what I see in this particular piece? I could really help you when you're sourcing and shopping. Anyway, this particular piece. So questions about this piece. What do you want to know? Got the loop for me, but my husband liked it. And now it's his. Oh, go get another one for yourself. Come on, Tamray. Get another one for yourself. Get one in the car because the kids are going to like it too. What sort of dies? It makes you thump it. Okay, I don't know what that means, Raven Red, but thanks for your comment. Okay, anyway, can you thump it so we hear? Oh, sure, I'll thump it. Do you like that? Did you hear it? What does that tell you? Not a darn thing. That is another one of those old wives' tales that people like to thump it. Oh, it's nice glass. It has a nice ping, ping, ping. Beautiful, right? A lot of people will think that's a good way to do it. Actually, that idea of doing that with respect to glass, people did that at weddings, so they didn't have to go up to the bride and groom and actually give them money. I'm serious. That's how it all started. They started to tink the glass because if they went up there. What sort of sound? Sorry. Well, basically, the sound really isn't what everyone's looking for. People have sort of continued these old wives' tales that experts don't use. We use our visual skills because they will help us with everything. So you wanted to hear the sound. Now you heard it. Does it have to have a signature etched into it? It doesn't necessarily have to be signed to be good. A lot of course, the great art glass houses like Lalique and like, of course, Steuben and others will sign their work. But in fact, it doesn't necessarily have to be signed to be beautiful and valuable. Baccarat will sign it too. Greetings from Dublin, Ireland. Well, cheers to Dublin. I love Dublin. Dublin was a fun city. I enjoyed my time in Dublin very much, an old Viking city, as I've been known to say. But I really liked, of course, just walking the city here and there. I liked, of course, going to Trinity College. I was lucky enough to go in and, of course, see the Book of Kells. I was very excited to see the Book of Kells. I get excited over museums. I love to see the art stuff. Anyway, so this particular vase has some issues. The other thing about the issues with this particular piece is if you start to look here, using the Dr. Lori cam, if you start to look here at the bottom, at the base, you'll notice it's a stepped base, right? So, and it's not equal. So you've got it very, very short at the bottom, very, very short in the middle, and bigger at the top. It really isn't done very well at all. And typically with good pieces of glass, that will be a perfect measurement. The other thing is, if you'll notice these indentations here, they are not etched. To complete the design, if they're etched up here, you would etch it down here too. So that's problematic. What do you think? Let's guess some values on that vase. I know you all love glass. I want to teach you how the not so great glass might be, as important for you to help you get you some information about all kinds of glass. So we saw a couple of inclusions, abrasions, these kinds of things, museum curators' words that you don't have to know that vocabulary, but basically that idea. Believe me, the Book of Kells was a delight to see. Yes, it was a delight to see. It really is. It's a wonderful thing. If you don't know much about the Book of Kells, it's really something that I would Google, learn a little bit more about it. I was able to see one of the beautiful pages. This particular piece of glass you think is worth $120, $65, $40. Okay, well, $120 is way too high for this piece. I know people love glass very much, but they also want, now the size of this piece is probably what a lot of people would look for and say, wow, that's nice. Yes, it's for flowers. It's intended for flowers. A lot of people would put, the marbles or something in the bottom and then have the flowers. Me, I don't do that. I put the flowers all the way to the bottom. I want you to see the aspirin in the bottom. I want you to see the water line. I like to see the whole stem and the leaves and everything. So Barb and Lee and those folks who said $40 are just about right. Value on it, about $40. So speaking of glass and shopping, my values are always based on actual sales records where pieces have actually sold. And people are surprised by that. They go, oh no, well, I saw this selling on this low value site or that budget site. Yeah, if you're selling it or it's listed there, you want to be buying it somewhere low and selling it somewhere where they're going to pay more money. So again, you don't buy and sell everything in the same places. Think of your produce. Do you buy all the same things in all the same places? No. What you buy at a big box store might cost you a lot less than if you bought just one of those particular pieces at the very corner she grocery store. It's the same darn thing. You have to think about that. So when you go, oh, it's not worth that. Well, you have to find the right avenue, the right market to sell it in, right? So you have to think about that. And you have to also think about how you're marketing these pieces. So that's important as well. This piece, as I said, is a nice piece, American made, but made mass numbers, not made all that high quality. And now you can see and identify the quality. I'm glad you're learning some stuff like that. But speaking of glass, earlier I was able to go shopping with one of you. One of you said, Dr. Lori, I'm taking you shopping. That's what I want to do. And she took me to her neighborhood thrift store. And it was a great time. We spent some time on a video call. And I was talking about glass because she went through, and it was a big thrift store. It was really beautiful, a lot of nice things, good prices, I have to say. And she walked up to my client, just one of you guys, walked up to this table of all blue and white glass. Now, blue and white was a really smart thing on the thrift store owner's idea, because she had a good idea. She put all of the blue-white pieces together. She had glass in one area. Thank you very much for the super sticker. So she had glass in one area, and she had other pieces, of course, together of the same color. So that was one of the things that struck, of course, the person who I was shopping with. She said, well, I really love glass, and I don't really know much about it, and I want to understand it. So she was walking by a lot of valuable things, but I liked the idea that she was staying in one place, and I was able to teach her a lot about everything that was on that one glass shelf. So she would understand, comparing and contrasting, what's valuable, what's priced well, what's not. So if you look at this shelf, you can see a nice scallop bowl. You can see this $5 sculpture in the middle. You can see another blue bowl, right? And that's a pressed glass bowl. And then you can see the cobalt glass in the back behind it. So those are a couple of the pieces. You see the wine glass in the back. I noticed that too. So the wine glass in the back. But basically, what I wanted her to understand and see was what was what, right? So she was walking by all of this, and she was looking at, in fact, in all those pieces, she was looking at not the $5 piece of beautiful cased glass right in the middle. She wasn't looking at that piece. She was instead looking at the little bowl, the little teal colored bowl next to it. She said, well, I like small bowls. I said, okay. I said, well, do you recognize the most valuable piece there? And she said, well, I think it's the small bowl. And I said, I think you're wrong. She said, she goes, really, Dr. Lori? She goes, I would have spent the $20 on the little glass bowl. And this is what's interesting. The little glass bowl was priced a lot higher than the $5 sculpture, right? Because I think what the thrift store owner was thinking was, well, there's more use for the bowl than there is for the sculpture. The art glass may not be something that everybody likes, but everybody could use a bowl. It does matter about the color when it comes to glass. Yes, it matters about the color, whether it's a deep, deep blue or a cobalt blue or a teal blue. It matters for time period. It matters to identify date. It matters to identify quality. It speaks to which types of materials, particularly which types of chemicals are put into the glass to produce the color, okay? Because there's all different ways. There's a chemical of that. And I talk about that on my website, of course. One of my blogs is all about how do you actually mix glass to get colors. And yes, that's drloriv.com, the website. And basically, it does matter on all of those fronts. So you want to think about all of that. But when it came to this particular piece of glass, I think a lot of people think, well, you've got to like the art piece. Well, for $5, the $20 bowl sitting next to it, and the $5 sculpture, of course, the sculpture was what I picked out for my client, saying, if you're going to pass that up, you're going to pass up about $150 on a $5 investment. So again, when you know what to choose, I can help you by coming shopping with me. And if you're wondering how I went shopping with her when she was in the deep south and I was in the northeast, if you look at that picture, you're going to notice that I'm on a video call. I'm up there in the upper corner, and you can see me, of course, from my location doing the video call. So she had her simple cell phone, her smartphone, and she walked around, and I told her where to stop. I told her what to pass by. I told her what was junk. She had a little ceramic cat that she liked. And I said, well, it's okay for $5, but you're not going to resell that on your Etsy store for $5. You're going to have to just enjoy that. And she said, I would have thought this would be worth more. And I said, well, not today's market. So a lot of the things that you're going to expect might be the things that I'm going to tell you, wait a minute, let's look over here. So it was pretty interesting of the things that she was walking by, and it was pretty interesting of the good things that she learned from the channel that she was able to, thank you very much for the super sticker, that she was able to, in fact, also say, hey, I recognize this because you had one of these on your table one time, Dr. Lori. You told us what it was worth on, of course, one of the treasure hunt games, right? So the treasure hunt game is involved in trying to get you to understand and learn a little bit more. That's why we do it. And that's why we use the good old, of course, Dr. Lori Cam, right? To teach you a little bit more, and the loop will help you too. So a couple of things that I want to point out, but yeah, if you want to take me shopping, you sure can do it. And of course, I make it easy for you. I make it easy for you, and I make it cost effective because I want you guys to learn. I want you to learn all of it. So video calls with Dr. Lori, you can get through with those through the website at drloriv.com. And another thing at drloriv.com that I'd like you to think about and subscribe to is the newsletter. The newsletter at drloriv.com has extras, specials, a lot of information that can help you. It can help you if you're just a great collector and you love art, antiques, and collectibles, or if you're trying to start a resale shop, or you just love to go to yard sales and estate shopping, I can help you there too. So the newsletter, sign up, it's free, and it's at drloriv.com. So you've never seen things like that in your thrift store, mostly junk. Well, Joanne, you know what? You got to try new thrift stores. And I suggest that you try all different thrift stores. Don't get caught into only one thrift store. You might have to drive a little bit farther. You might have to talk with some of your friends about where they go. You might have to actually talk in this community about where people in your area go too. Don't overlook the small thrift stores. You know, the big ones like the Goodwill and the Salvation Army, sure, they're great. But you also want to think about the small thrift stores. Maybe it's a Habitat for Humanity. Thank you very much for the super sticker. Maybe it's Care and Share thrift store, or maybe any of the names. Maybe it's something that is trying to save money, or I talked to one client who actually is rescuing parrots in her thrift store. And she says that all the money goes to my rescue. They're trying to help animals. I've, of course, done lots of shows with helping animals at those thrift stores that actually all that goes to organizations like the SPCA. You're welcome, Angela. I'm happy to help. So I want you to think about that. And also another tip that I've told you about thrifting, because this is thrifting secrets, remember. I've told you about thrifting. If you can, go to more affluent areas and try to thrift in those stores, because those stores typically have the objects that were actually, again, donated by folks who might be in an upper echelon than other areas. Something to think about. I always say, try a new store. It's a good idea. And don't forget about estate sales, because estate sale folks know a lot about, of course, their market and what's going to be popular in their particular part of the country. So think about estate sales. And a yard sale is always good. Map it out, plot it out, and utilize, of course, all the resources online, including this channel, to map out the best yard sales for you. Okay? So when you're looking at it, how did you do? Are you competing with your friends and family, or competing throughout with the community right here at the Dr. Lori channel? Well, if you are, I want to know how you did on this glass vase, which of course was made and of course used by florists mainly. And it's a rather new piece. It's not all that old, but it tells you a lot about how you can identify good, high quality, or low quality in this case, etched glass. So thanks for playing number one. Okay, here we go. So this next one that I want to talk to you about is I want to talk to you about a plate, and that's this particular piece. So what do you think, and what questions do you have about this plate that's right here, right here? What questions do you have about this plate? This plate, I'm going to show you this side, and I'm going to show you this side. Okay, and this plate. So questions. Let me move this guy. Thank you, Rachel. When I see the super chats and the super stickers, I know that that information is helping you to succeed. And I'm glad. That's what I like to see, because that information goes, of course, to back into making more videos so I can continue to share my university expertise, my university college expertise with you. Thank you very much. Okay, so what did you want to know? Is it heavy? It's somewhat heavy. It's a little heavier than a porcelain plate. There is a name on the back. There is a name on the back. Let's show you here with the Dr. Lori cam. Let's show you the name on the back, and you can see if you recognize it. Do you recognize it? Stangl Pottery, Trenton, New Jersey, Prelude in a circle. Okay. And I want to show you a couple of other things on the back of this plate, if I may. This right here, this area right here, I don't know if you can see that. That's the result of it being on a plate stand on a wall. And then here, right here, do you see that right here? It's like an indentation. That's because it was hung up on a wall for a long, long time, right? And that little area right there is now damaged, okay? That's what you see there. And that's from, of course, that piece being on the wall on one of those plate holders. It just sat there on the wall for years and years and years. You're welcome, Joanne. I'm happy to give you good information and suggestions. That's why I'm here. So those are two things I want you to think about when you're looking at this. What else do you want to know? So Stangl, Trenton, New Jersey, that was the question. There's the mark. Now, what does that tell you? You're going, okay, well, it was made in New Jersey. New Jersey is one of the great areas for, of course, quality clay. Trenton, New Jersey particularly, and many of the manufacturers like Fulper and, of course, Stangl and others set up shop, of course, in Trenton, New Jersey. All you can think of how ugly as the plate is. Ugly is your first clue to value, right? So you think it's ugly, right? I want to talk to you about this plate. Is it hand-painted ceramic? It is hand-painted earthenware ceramic, yes. So the color tells you a little bit of something. I showed you a little bit about damage. It is not ironstone. It is not ironstone. It is not stoneware. It is earthenware. Different, earthenware versus stoneware. This particular piece is hand-painted, and if you'll notice the size, thank you, Kim, then if you notice the size actually tells you what type of plate it is. Anybody have any idea about how old the plate is? Its age is important. So you think it's from the 60s. No, it's not from the 60s. It's earlier than that. Oh, it's earlier than that? It's earlier than that. Okay, so it's earlier than the 1960s. And this particular piece tells you a couple of things. First of all, when you look at this plate, you'll notice this particular flower. Tom's daughter's got it. It's between the 40s and the 50s is when this particular plate and pattern was put together. Pattern is indicated, in fact, but this particular plate shows you something. It's the flower wide open. And in the 1930s through the 1950s, in fact, this particular plate and others like it would have one type of flower, the same flower, but one flower in a different form on one type of plate, maybe on a fruit dish. And then another flower, maybe the bud of this same flower would be on the dinner plate, and maybe the open flower would be on the salad dish. So it starts to tell you, if you saw the whole set, it starts to tell you, in fact, when these pieces were made and why these American manufacturers are looking to sort of create the whole flower. Why? Because then you have to buy more of the set. It's a marketing idea. You don't only have all of them that look like this, but the teacups are a little different. And once you buy them all, you have this beautiful floral bouquet in plates on your table. And if one's missing, that's usually what you see. So you have the red ones. Mary, thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate that too. So I want you to understand that this particular plate may not look exactly the same. Yes, you can eat off of it. May not look exactly the same than its counterpart that is for a dinner dish. And notice the size, because size matters, right? So you want to think about, is the dish this big and what is it used for? Is it a dessert plate? Is it a bread plate? Is it a salad plate? Is it a dinner plate? Dinner plates are usually bigger. Salad and bread plates are usually smaller than dinner plates. So think about this and think about how that's going to help you to identify age. All of this helps you. All this information is going to make you able to know what's what. So that's what you're looking at. Stoneware and earthenware are not the same. Stoneware and earthenware are not the same. I know a lot of people want to say, oh, well, what's the difference? But stoneware and earthenware is not the same. Earthenware, ceramic, right? It has to do with the clay, okay? So stoneware and earthenware, a lot of people will interchange those particular words, but there are nuances to both of them. This particular piece is, of course, hand-painted and glazed. This particular piece is in very nice condition. And yes, it is ceramic. Ceramic's an umbrella term. Okay, so when you say something's a ceramic or something's made of clay, fired in a kiln, that ceramic could be porcelain, it could be bone china, it could be, of course, earthenware or stoneware, it could be a lot of different things. So, but all of them are ceramic. Okay, so that's what you want to think about. All of them are ceramic. But very good questions, and that's what I want you to ask so you understand what's what. More information about this particular plate, where is it? You know where it is, on the community tab. On the community tab is where more information about this place will be. Do you want to guess the value? Let's guess the value. Guess the value. How much do you think the plate? The plate alone, only the plate, the one plate. The one plate alone. Bernard had 2 questions. 175 is way too high. I'm seeing a lot of you are getting it. Yeah, go and look. You'll see it on the community tab and you'll see how much it is. In this particular case, it's worth about $15. All the information about it is on the community tab. I want you to go to the community tab as much as you can because that's where I'm going to put the extras, right? That's where I'm going to put extras, all different types of extras, whether it's information or a discount or whatever it might be, on the community tab right here on YouTube. And you need to subscribe and then go to the community tab. It's very easy to find. So a couple of other things I want you to do as we're playing the treasure hunt game. I want you to be able to see how to identify these pieces. And many, many, many of you are asking me about paintings because you know that I keep telling you that there are certain things that are going to hold value long term. So I want you to be able to recognize quality, negotiate, right? And learn what's valuable versus what's not. So I want you to think about all of these types of things. So one of the things that I was doing when I was shopping with one of you who took me shopping is I was looking at plates. So we're in the middle of our time together on the video call and she's in the thrift store shopping. And she says to me, well, Dr. Lori, I'm going to look in this cabinet. You know, those cabinets are kind of glass enclosures and they have the glass shelves. And all the stuff is on it. And then behind that shelf is usually where the thrift store owner will stand and they'll check you out, right? They'll wrap stuff up for you or they'll check you out. They'll do the exchange. The countertop, and it's glass. So my client was inside that glass case and she's looking and she's going through and she sees a couple things. And the thrift store owner said, oh, well, look at this vase over here. And I said, let's wait a minute on that vase. And she said, well, why? And I said, there's nothing wrong with that vase, but you just went by something very valuable. So she went back and she picked up a couple of wine glasses. And I said, no, not the wine glasses. They're nice, but they're not as valuable. I want you to pick up that plate with the leaf on it. She said, that green one? I said, yes, that green one. And she said, oh, okay, well, I would never have chosen that. And you can see the person who I'm shopping with, she's in the thrift store, and I'm, of course, on the video call in the corner. You see her hand? So she picks up the plate, and I said, pick up that plate. Is that plate Minton? And she said, I don't know what Minton is, Dr. Lori. And I said, well, Minton is an English ceramic company that made Majolica. I said, and that plate is Majolica. And I said, and I want to take a look at it. Look at that nice lead glazed ceramic, right? It's a beautiful piece. It's a nice lead glazed ceramic. And when she turned it over, lo and behold, Minton, England, beautiful, marked clearly. Now, I didn't see the mark, but I could recognize it from one end. She was going right by it toward wine glasses. Now, I got nothing against wine, okay? Sure, get the wine glasses, that's all good. But I want you to look at these pieces that are priced low that you can resell high. She's starting a resale business. She needs help. She needs direction. I'm the person who can do that. So, you know, it's a lot about how fun it is to shop. I love shopping with all of you, but it's also about how can I actually learn this? So she said, well, Dr. Lori, I don't know anything about Majolica. I said, well, I talk about Majolica a lot. She said, I don't really understand. What am I looking for? I said, well, you're looking for an embossed decoration, not unlike this, which is not Majolica. Don't get confused. But not unlike this, an embossed decoration, right? That's been pushed in, right, or pulled away. And then also, if you look at this picture, you can see the leaf. So you know that the leaf form is going to be the kind of form that sets up on a dinner table. There's going to be many of them on that table. I told her also when she's looking at this plate that well, you've got to take me shopping with you. You can do it. And we make it easy and fun. And it's a great time. And it's easy to do and easy to book. So you can do that. But anyway, so back to that particular picture with the green leaf. The Majolica was very nicely applied. It was very nicely done. Notice how the green all fans out from the center where the yellow is. And then there's the repeated green on the leaf itself. And then there's the yellow band all the way around as well. It's very floral. It's very nice. It's very organic. It's really beautiful and it look beautiful on a table. Think about a spring or a fall table with the nice big white tablecloth and how that would pop. And notice the leaf, because you're going to have a leaf at every place setting is the idea. So she had this particular piece. It's made by a very good, high-quality Majolica manufacturer. It's English, which is important, too, for Majolica. And that particular piece, they wanted $10. And what's it worth? about 85. That's a really nice deal for a piece of Majolica like that. It's relatively big too. So she said, well, I'm going to be able to make some significant money on this now that I know what to choose. She said, I would have chosen the wine glasses. And I said, they would have been fine because barware is popular. But in this particular case, I want you to take advantage of the opportunity to get a piece of Majolica. And plates are easy to resell and easy, of course, to ship too. You know how to pack things. We teach you about how to wrap things well, those kinds of things. I want you to understand that too. Yes, you can book me to go, of course, shopping with you. Yes, you definitely can do that. drloriv.com. Yes. So there's nothing better. Thank you, Mick, and thank you for supporting the channel. But yes, I can really help you when you're in those environments. So you're not wasting money on stuff that you can't resell. And so you start to learn which markets are best for which things. So you're not just saying, I'm always going to the same place to sell everything. I'm not really doing that well. I will tell you, the people who follow my tips are doing very well. And I know many of you are doing that. And I want you to succeed also. So I normally go for plates that are from Italy, Germany, Spain, and Europe. Is that a good idea? Normally have great pictures painted. Okay, so a couple of things. German plates, Italian plates, things like Ginori plates, right? So the brand names, do you know the names, right? English plates are going to be important. When you say all of these European countries, and then I look for Europe plates, I want you to think about where you don't really want them from. I wouldn't pass up certain Portuguese plates, so I wouldn't forget about Portugal, right? I wouldn't forget about certain areas where these pieces really are fine. Delft plates, for example, from the Netherlands, the Dutch. What to look for. So I like you to look for the brand names because they're easy to recognize and easy to resell, and also good for establishing your collection, which if you're collecting them for yourselves, right, and not to resell, they'll increase in value over time. You have to get quality. And don't forget, Staffordshire, England, Limoges, France. Don't forget about the French plates, right? Haviland and such. You want to make sure that you're doing that. So if I had to give you a laundry list of plates, maybe I will give you a laundry list of plates of where you should be getting your plates from, where you should be looking for plates. And guess where I put it? You all know, the community tab. So I'll give you that laundry list. But I want you to have an understanding of that. The extras are going on the community tab. So you got to subscribe and you got to go to the community tab. That's where I'm going to put it. Some of the big names that you want to look for. I tell it to you all the time when I'm talking about costume jewelry, right? If you go, of course, to drloriv.com and you look there and you're doing research on my website, you're going to learn, of course, those big names that are always going to mean value. Okay, so that was fun. I want you to think about that, and I want you to think about shopping with me. It's a lot of fun to do those video calls and to shop. I love to shop. Okay, now this piece that you're all kind of oohing and eyeing probably. Oh, Dr. Lori, I love puppies. I love puppies. I couldn't have puppies because one of my sisters was allergic to dogs. I was so sad as a kid. I always wanted puppies, and I didn't ever have puppies, but I have a lot of puppies around my home. I know you think I'm nuts, but I have a lot of puppies around my home. None of them are real. They are all different kind of inanimate dogs. Some are made of basketry, and some are made of newspapers, and some are sculptures, and some are door stops, all different ones. But I digress. Anyway, so this particular piece is the next one, the puppies. And I want to talk to you about this. Did you get your mug? I don't know. If you got your mug, you should have your mug by now. So a couple things. I want to give you a nice good shot of this. There we go. I want to know, what questions would you ask about this painting of puppies? What questions would you ask yourself? If you saw it, what would you be thinking? What would you ask? Would you ask things like, what kind of support is it on? What's a support, Dr. Lurie? I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. Is it on canvas? Is it on paper? Is it on board? What's it on? Is it signed? Okay, Patricia goes right to the signature. I believe this piece is signed. This piece is signed by Connie Hebel. Do you know who Connie Hebel is? Is she a major artist that you know off the top of your head? Is she like Picasso or Claude Monet or whomever? Right? Is it acrylic? It is not acrylic. It is not acrylic. Acrylic paint will dry like your fingernails. I've said it before. It's like, it looks like plastic, shiny. This is oil paint. Oil paint is more matte. It's not water, it's oil paint. Oil paint. It's oil paint on a particular support. Remember I was talking about a support? Here's what the back looks like. Good question, Patricia. There's the back. Right? Does that help you to see how thin it is? So it's a piece of cardboard. Cardboard. It's signed, and it's puppies. How are you going to identify quality? All of you are asking me about paintings. When I do, of course, the live Ask Dr. Lori lives, a lot of you people have framed works. A lot of you people have paintings. And the only way you think you know how to, in fact, search for this is to look for an artist name. If something's not signed, you don't know what to do. Oh, I'm going to Google the artist name. Nothing comes up, or the wrong thing comes up, or you have an artist with a nebulous name like, I don't know, Smith or Jones, like a common name. Oh, I don't know which Smith or Jones it is, and you're sunk. I don't want you sunk. I want you to get it, and I can teach you how to do it. So a couple things here. First of all, when you see a panel like this, you should start to think, that. I have a PhD. I've been in museums for a long, long time. Starting in this field is watching my binge link. That's how you start. Start by getting the university education that I have for free right here. That's how you start. People will say, how do I do it? Get the binge link and start binging. Start watching. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to go anywhere. All you have to do is get out your device, start watching, use the binge link. It's easy. The Dr. Lori, of course, many, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos will come up and they'll teach you. That's how you get started. To get to my level takes a long time, but you can do this. You can do this. I can help you. So a couple things. You saw the back. You saw the front. I told you it's oil. I told you it's on a piece of cardboard, right? The artist name is not really important in this particular case. Well, it's going to be important if it was like your mother's pieces. My mother started painting at 90. Yeah, 90, that's right. Started painting. So I loved all of them. I thought they were masterpieces because I loved her. But that idea, in fact, of having a signature on it is just something that's continued in the vernacular. So if it's not signed, that doesn't mean it's not valuable. But if it's not signed and you don't recognize the name, it could be a famous artist. You just don't know that artist. That's possible. Or it could be that we need a little bit more information. But in this particular case, when we look at this piece, in a minute, you're going to say, oh, I understand why it's signed now. So let's look. So this is what we want to see. This particular piece is not a reproduction. So here's the Dr. Lori cam, and I'm going to show you the areas that I would want you to look at. So there's certain areas that I would want you to look at. So first of all, you're going to look at the whole piece, but I want you to look at edges. So the Dr. Lori cam is going to teach you about edges of the actual piece. So let's get the dogs. Here are the dogs, right? And you can see overall. So let's start with this dog that's above all the rest. Notice the part of the dog there. Notice, of course, the edge work. And you can see, in fact, where the brush strokes are. Do you see the brush strokes? Do you see how each different color looks like it's a different brush stroke as opposed to the brush overlapping? There's no overlapping of color in this whole piece. No overlapping of color. So an expert like me would look at that and go, wait a minute, that's not how you hold a paintbrush. If you used a paintbrush, you would have, in fact, overlapping of color. It wouldn't be as if you see these pieces and you see, again, all the black like this. It's just all like a muddy area of black for the eye. There's like no little element inside the eye for the iris. And you'll notice, too, the way in which right here, if you can see up here, the way that line of the beige meets the blue. And if you look right here in this cross area where my finger is, you can see that the blue was then, in fact, touched back up near the lines. So if you look at this and you look at it, if you come back, this actual area right here, this light beige around this dog looks like a highlight. It doesn't look like it's part of the body. It looks like, and it's the same thing up here with this dog, right? It doesn't really look like it's the part of the dog's body. It doesn't complete over here. There isn't that light yellow beige line. And then down here there is. So can you see all of that? Do you notice? Isn't that unusual? If you're looking at a different type of painting, you would see all these brushstrokes come together, as opposed to they dipped the color into this color and painted here. They dipped the color into this darker brown beige color, like this chocolate color, and they paint it there. Then they dip it into that same brush into the black and they paint it here and there. Does it remind you of anything? I'm going to put this camera down now. Does it remind you of anything? You should all be saying, kind of reminds me of paint by number. There it is, Doris. Reminds you of paint by number, because that's what it is. It's paint by number. Now, of course, it was neatly done, and paint by number does have some value. It doesn't have the value it used to have. It used to have pretty high values for paint by number. But in fact, if you see this particular piece, you can see, of course, that this paint by number artist decided that her work was great and she wanted to sign her name. I don't blame her. Sure, sign your name to it. It's a lot of work. So you're going to say it's worth nothing, but that's not actually true. What do you think it is? Let's guess some values here. You know it's paint by number because now you've seen it. And that's really where the value is in this. In you being able to recognize what paint by number looks like versus even if it were an oil painting on this kind of support on a piece of cardboard, but an artist who has skill doesn't do it this way. Oh, let's paint by number. And paint by number, of course, comes into widespread use after World War II. When the American GIs are coming home, they're building their new homes on the GI Bill in places like Levittowns. And literally what they're doing is they see all of these great paintings of Europe and they want paintings in their own home. And if they can't afford them, they paint by number, a great craft project. We know that crafts are very popular now. And I saw some numbers higher than others, $45, $35, $8, $10. This particular piece is worth about $20. And, you know, if Connie had grown up to be a great artist after she did her paint by number, well, then it would be worth a little bit more. But based on actual sales records, today's market, where I analyzed the whole market, not just one place with one list of sales records, right? You can't only look in one place, right? You don't only shop in one place. You know, it's the way in which the canned peaches in one place are at, 49 cents and they're at 89 cents in another place. So what happens? You buy it in the place where it's cheaper. Well, if you want to resell it, you don't resell it to that same cheap place, do you? No. This particular piece, a nice example, a lot of hard work, but it's a paint by number. So when you see, of course, these colors and tonalities, the dark blue or the dark teal, the lighter teal, the lightest teal, remember in any works of art, the lightest color is farthest away from you. The lightest color is usually farthest away from you, and it gets darker as it comes forward. Remember, too, this is the background, this is the middle ground, and this is the foreground, or the ground, of course, that's in the forefront. So foreground, middle ground, background. Notice that the middle ground has all of the darkest area because you want those dogs to pop out of it. It's a lot about contrast when it comes to paint by number. These are pretty nice. A lot of paint by numbers in the late 1990s and early 2000s. There are a lot of folks who were decorating their house with them, getting them from flea markets or yard sales, cute pieces. And actually it was a trend for a while, and that trend really has fallen out of favor for that time. But what it is for me is, and for you, it's an instructional way for you to learn a little bit about these pieces. What to look for is what I try to teach you, because your eyes won't lie to you. People will lie to you, but your eyes won't lie to you. And I want you to know what to look for yourself. Once you recognize it, makes it all worth it. I want you to understand what to recognize and what you've got. So couple pieces of some of the typical things that you see all the time when you're thrifting. When I'm giving you these thrifting secrets, I want you to use them. And I want you to use them in a couple of ways. I want you to make sure that you employ, of course, your loop. I want you to make sure that you basically don't waste money on the pieces that you can't get or that you're saying to yourself, I don't think I can really resell that very high. I want you to find the valuables, and they're out there. You see it in my Real Bargains videos. You know that these pieces are out there. Very valuable pieces. Today, I found a beautiful and valuable piece with one of my video callers who was just stunned. She said, I had an idea what it was, but it was in such a gross place where I bought it. I didn't know if I was right or not, that it was really a great piece. So lots of things out there, lots of great thrifting. And the secrets that I'm trying to reveal to you are going to help you, whether you're looking for furniture, collectibles, artwork, china, glass, anything. So that's what you do. Yes, I do a lot of calls with people who are online looking at auctions, and I'm also on the call with them, and we're going through an online auction, and I'll teach you how photography of online auctions can trick you. Some things can be actually photographed to look better than what they are, so yes, I do that a lot when people take me shopping with them. I love to go shopping with you. I love to shop. It's great. And it's a lot of fun to, of course, be able to stop you and go, wait a minute, look at that again. And a lot of these pieces are right there under your nose. I'm Dr. Lori. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.